Using emojis in your marketing can either help you emphasize or drive home a point, allowing you to create a really great connection with your potential customers, or it can completely confuse and derail your communication with them. But regardless of whether you use just the right amount of emojis in your marketing or if you overdo it, the fact is that using emojis in your marketing in 2023 is totally acceptable. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you why it's acceptable and how using emojis can actually help you amplify your message and not hinder it the way most people think. Be sure that you stick around to the end of the video as well, because I'm going to be sharing the key areas that you want to start incorporating emojis in your marketing, and also give you tips for how you can use emojis for good and not for evil. Okay, maybe I exaggerated a little, not for evil, but you definitely don't want it to be cringeworthy. Speaking of cringeworthy, let's take a stab at trying to get you to engage with this video and tell me in the comments below what you think is the most popular emoji. And y'all, I don't want to see no darn eggplant in the comments, because hint, it's not an eggplant. Why it's acceptable to use emojis in your marketing. While emojis have technically been around since 1999, it wasn't until later in 2010 and beyond that they actually started to pick up traction in our everyday texting and messaging. I mean, it wasn't until 2015 that the Oxford Dictionary actually named an emoji the word of the year. And now, today in 2023, 92% of the world's online population uses emojis, which tells us that emojis are not just popular, but they are easily interpreted and widely understood by a vast majority of people. People who span age groups, income levels, and even countries. Take for instance that no matter what language you speak, it is pretty easy to understand what someone is trying to tell you or the message they're conveying if they respond back to a text of yours with an emoji like this or like this. And for those of you that took a stab at trying to guess which emoji is the most used, it's actually this one right here. Face with tears of joy. And if you're anything like me, you probably use this on the daily. Now, other top ranked emojis include, so reason number one that it is acceptable to use emojis in your marketing in 2023 is because emojis are widely used and understood. Additionally, let's look at just how integrated the use of emojis has become in our everyday lives. According to Amra and Elma, a marketing agency, 92% of millennials use emojis on the daily. And while that by itself is not surprising, what is surprising is the fact that the use of emojis is actually bleeding into other areas like emails and, dare I say it, even resumes. And not that I'm advocating for that. But the point here is that reason number two that it is acceptable for you to use emojis in your marketing in 2023 is because of how the use of emojis is bleeding out into other areas of our everyday lives outside of just social media and quick texting. They're even researching the use of emojis in therapy. So over the next couple of years, we're going to see emojis in other areas that we maybe would have never expected. And turns out that millennials aren't the only ones that are using emojis outside of social media and texting. So are businesses. Take a look at this Forbes article from back in 2019. The title, Emojis, an essential tool for innovative business communication. While this article was talking about the use of emojis in communication so that it could close some of those gaps in misconstruing messages, more and more businesses are actually using emojis in their marketing and advertising. The one statistic that stood out and honestly blew my mind was that there was a 775% increase in the use of emojis in marketing messages overall, which is why reason number three that it is acceptable for you to use emojis in your marketing in 2023 is because you are in good company, and not that you just want to follow what everybody else is doing, but just like email marketing became a staple in marketing practices over time, the use of emojis in marketing is going to become a staple as well. Just give it a little bit of time. Bet you $1. Where you definitely want to use emojis. In your emails, especially in the subject line of those emails. It has been reported that 58% of consumers will actually open an email that has an emoji in the subject line as opposed to one that does not. Now, be careful that you're not overdoing it, because using too many emojis can actually land your email in spam jail. In your social media post. And listen, I get it, this one's very expected. You're thinking, well, of course that's the most appropriate place to use emojis, but it has been shown that no matter what social media platform you're using, whether that be Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, or even Facebook, using emojis on your post will actually help increase engagement rates. Wild, isn't it? So according to a Pew Research Center study recently that looked at Twitter posts that used emojis and those that did not, they found two key things. Number one, that 52% of Twitter posts now include an emoji. This same study mentioned that just 4 years ago, only 6% of Twitter posts contained emojis. And number two, using an emoji in a tweet increased engagement, and that was whether it had more likes or just more retweets. And Twitter isn't special. On Facebook, 57% of Facebook posts with emojis get more likes, and then 33% have more shares and comments. On Instagram, posts with emojis have a 48% more engagement rate. In your SMS or text marketing, obviously this is a great fit because they're already used to receiving emojis through this channel of communication. Now, you want to be sure that you don't overdo it, but studies have shown that using emojis in your text marketing will increase the click-through rate and also increase the probability that they will purchase a product or service from you. Tips for using emojis in your marketing. So before I cut you loose and you start using emojis in your marketing this year, let's go ahead and cover just a few tips. Tip number one, don't use emojis to replace words. Instead, use them to add emphasis to what you're trying to say or portray. If you start replacing words with emojis, what you're going to do is create unnecessary problems because you're leaving room for misinterpretation. While emojis are widely used and lots of people know what they mean, the last thing somebody wants to do is play the guessing game whenever they're reading one of your Facebook posts or seeing one of your ads. Tip number two, stick to using positive emojis and also consider using emojis that match your brand. You want to give some thought to the types of emojis that you do want to use and you want associated with your brand. Perfect example is Taco Bell. They have a spicy and sassy brand personality, and so therefore the emojis that they use match that. Similarly, you don't just want to go out there willy-nilly picking emojis to use that later on may not be a good representation of your business or of your brand. So be really selective and give some thought to how you want to utilize and integrate emojis into your marketing campaigns. Remember that part of what you're doing with your marketing is trying to attract new customers to your business, and so therefore you want it to be a really great representation of your business. And while you have over 3,500 emojis to choose from, be sure that you steer clear of the negative emojis. Studies have shown that people want their marketing messages to be positive and upbeat, and so therefore choosing positive emojis is going to help your marketing message. Tip number three, check to see what your emoji will look like in different platforms. Very similar to how websites look different depending on whether you're viewing them on a laptop or on a smartphone, emojis will appear different depending on what platform you're viewing them on. So for example, this emoji right here is going to look different on Twitter, on Facebook, and even on Gmail. So once you decide which emojis you want to use, you'll want to go to this website right here to see what they look like on different platforms. Tip number four, monitor how well your marketing with emojis does in comparison to your marketing without emojis. Just like any good marketeer, you're going to want to be sure that you are looking at the performance of the ads or the social media posts that you're using emojis in up against the ones that you are not using emojis in. And so what you're going to be looking for is, what is the engagement rate, what is the reach, and can you attribute any sales to either one of these, and what does that look like when you compare the two? Use these tips as a beginner's guide to start incorporating emojis in your marketing in 2023, and let me know in the comments below, what do you find? Do you find that people are more prone to engaging with your content when you utilize emojis, or do you find that there's really no difference? Hey, if you're an SOB, a small owned business, then keep watching this next video right here, and don't forget that we have over 200 marketing videos available for you to watch right now on our YouTube channel, so go take a peek.